Profiles. I'm Dick Fredrickson, and the Clutter Coach is with us today. Let me read a quote for you, and then we'll go right to the show. This is from the Business Ledger, and they say, Barbara Tischler, who happens to be our guest, will turn disheveled offices and overflowing attics and bedrooms and gadget dish-filled kitchens into neat and organized facilities of productivity. The Clutter Coach is here. Welcome, Barbara.
Thank you very much.
It's good to have you here. We're a little nervous coming over here. We made extra pains to get our office in good shape, and we put blinders on her so she couldn't see all of the debris behind the set here. And out in the hallway, the offices they're all draped in black, so you can't see all that good stuff they have either. Nancy, who produces the show, has been trying to get you on for weeks. You are so busy, and we're delighted to have you on because we are all busy, we're all crazy, we don't have enough time to do anything. And I have a quote, I don't know if you saw this in the newspaper or not, it was a couple of weeks ago. It has nothing to do or directly to do with what we're going to talk about here today, but it has a lot to do about the busyness of people. There's a quote, if I can find it here. A recent press release said that there's less housekeeping being done today than there was 10 years ago for a variety of reasons. And it's also interesting that there was a time, 1992 to 94, where there was a little blip, a little increase of men doing increase in housekeeping. And you would think in the flow chart of life that there would be a little more of that going on. Not so, because we have a decrease by men now doing housework than just a few years ago. And the same reasons, I'm sure, for that, we're going to discover here in the cluttered world that we live in. And I suppose in many ways you're probably pretty happy that we're kind of busy and cluttery, right?
Right. People need me.
People need you. Now, you have a home-based business. Warrenville is your home-based business. And you provide organizing service for home and office. Very briefly, a little overview, what kind of service is that?
Basically, I go in and I work side by side with individuals in their homes or their offices, and I help them to go through whatever it is that they need help going through to declutter. So whether it's paperwork, closets, kitchens, basements, bathrooms, whatever it may be, I help them right there, help them make decisions about what to keep and what to get rid of. Sometimes people, I find, will, just because I'm there, they will give themselves permission to let go of things that otherwise they would make up excuses as to why they should keep something. So just my being there sometimes prompts people to get rid of things. And then I also do try to encourage it. When people are edgy about it, a little hesitant about getting rid of something, I'll try to help them make that decision.
Give me an example of how you would do that, because there's all kinds of people who are lost the word. They're savers. They save all kinds of stuff. I save little things, and once a year, coming up soon, about the first of the year, I'll open up drawers and I'll just dump all kinds of stuff. It'll go, but I save it though the whole year, and I probably need someone like you to come in and say, what would you say to me? What would you say to me?
Well, I can ask questions like, how often do you use this?
Never.
And if they say never, or it's been more than a year since I touched it, that's something that helps them realize that they don't need it. If it's a duplicate or a triplicate or quadruplicate, then I try to get them to see that it's unnecessary to have all these extras. Sometimes one thing that I do see a lot is sometimes people will accumulate all these extras because they don't have a good handle on what they currently have because it's disorganized. Recently I helped someone with a linen closet, and it was just jammed full, and when we started to sort through it, we had like bins this big of soap because they kept buying more soap every time they went to the store because they had no idea how much they had. So then, if it's something that's not consumable, or use up, can't be used up like soap, then if it's something that they can donate or something of that nature, then try to get them to pare down.
That's interesting. I was going to ask you that later on, but I'll do it now because at my age I'll forget the question. there's probably some stuff that once the clutter coach or the professional organizer that you are, you've finished up and they've kind of followed your guidance and your direction, and they've got some, let's be polite, some stuff, and it's pretty good stuff. Do you have a source that you can provide for them, for charities or people that they can just not just throw it away but
Right.
put it to use?
I carry with me a lot of resource information on places that they can donate to or pick up services that they can call. Salvation Army, Purple Heart Veterans, they have pickup services. There are also places that they can drop off certain items. There are certain stores that take use children's clothing. There's depending on where they are location-wise and what they want to do, if they want to have a service come pick it up because there's so much of it, or if they want to drop it off. So depending on the variables.
You have that list.
I have
Yeah.
different resources,
Yeah, okay,
right?
great. I know that Warrenville's not that far from Naperville, and Naperville's got this humongous annual tent thing they have. It takes up an entire shopping center, and it's full of clutter. I think it's JUNQUE. There's some junk, but people love to buy it, and we have been there and have hauled away bags of good stuff. I always ask about the background on the show because, believe it or not, you are making a difference in so many ways, and one of the reasons we have you on the show, not only to talk to us about your business, but the fact that you are in business and the kind of business that you're in. So, your background. Tell us a little bit about you.
Okay. I have a bachelor's degree in social psychology from Occidental College, which is located in Los Angeles. And I also have a minor in art history. And when I got out of college, I wasn't interested in continuing with psychology. I realized that I was interested in the physical environment. And it was sort of joining the psychology and the art end of things together in a way. But it took me a few years to finally figure out, specifically what it was that I wanted to do. I moved to this area 3 years ago, and when I knew I was going to be moving, I was thinking about what I wanted to do professionally. And it dawned on me that I really loved organizing. So I thought, maybe I can help other people get organized. Now, at that point in time, I had never heard of anyone doing that kind of thing before, but I looked into it and discovered the National Association of Professional Organizers. So that was just an amazing thing to me that existed, and it proved that this was a real career field.
It has to be a somewhat a new field, though. I have not heard of an organization until you made contact with you. In the area, how many of there are of the professional organizers?
Well, in terms of the national group, the National Association of Professional Organizers, they have over 1,000 members right now. And when I first joined, just about 3 years ago, they were at about 800, so they've increased. They started out in 1985 with just a handful of people, so they've grown quite a bit since then. And then there are local chapters of that group throughout the country, and there happens to be a Chicago chapter, and we have about 30 members. And that also has
30
grown.
in the whole Chicagoland area?
Right.
That's amazing. So there's some room for expansion for a few others to kind of, or maybe we should talk about that. That'd be competition. Although I did read in the research that you do a lot of exchanging and information.
Yeah, things are not so competitive at this point, and actually it's more cooperative. We realize that we're better together. We can help each other out. And there have been occasions where I've been able to hire other organizers from my chapter, and other occasions where I've been hired by them, and we help each other out with, especially with people who are new in business, to help them kind of get going.
So you moved to Warrenville. I think did you get married and then you came? Is that how you ended up in Warrenville?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Is your husband Mr. Organizational Man? Is he?
He's very organized.
Is he really?
I don't think I could live with someone who wasn't organized. He's very organized. We had to do a little bit of purging when I first moved into the house because we had to make room for my stuff. But he was very good about letting go of unnecessary items, duplicates, or things that he hadn't used. So.
Okay. Well, so that you began. What's your husband's name?
His name is Mark.
You began with Mark as your first client.
That's true.
And with your degree in social psychology and your experience, and I think you also worked in art galleries and some of the furniture marts and things.
Right.
So all of that, you took all of that experience and knowledge, and we only have a few minutes in this segment, but before we continue, we'll learn more about the business and how you can get in contact with with the Clutter Coach, Barbara. But you still had to, though you may have had a vision, an idea, and put all this stuff together, it's still a step to actually go into business to do this. Was there anyone else that you went to for advice and counsel on this? Was there a particular person who you went to and said, how do I do this? Or was there someone that was an ignition that said, you can do this?
Actually, there was another organizer who was in Batavia, which is fairly close to where I am, and she was getting out of the business. And she was very willing to meet with me, and we talked, and she actually gave me my very first client. It was someone who had contacted her, and she was going away on a vacation, and as I said, was getting out of the business anyway. So she gave me his name and number, and I told her, I said, I'm a little scared about this. And she said, just go in there and pretend like you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And that was the perfect thing for
Speak
her to
with
say.
authority. Well, we're seeing as we talk, of course, we're seeing some of the scenes, before and after scenes, as we'll continue our conversation with Barbara Tischler, the Clutter Coach, and maybe you need a Clutter Coach at your home. We'll get a phone number for you out there on the screen to make contact. Perhaps you'd like to look at this as a entrepreneurial start for yourself in business. We'll talk about that as well. As Profiles continues, we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm one of 2 million Americans who have a type of irregular heartbeat called atrial fibrillation, or AF. Left untreated, AF can lead to a stroke, the third leading cause of death in this country. The National Stroke Association can teach you a simple way to check your pulse to see if you have an irregular heartbeat and what to do about it. Call 1-800-STROKES to get their free brochure.
A small annoyance left unattended can lead to bigger problems, like the little cheat you may find on your Medicare statement, billing for services not provided, unnecessary goods and services, double billing. Medicare fraud and abuse waste billions. Who pays? You pay. If you see something questionable, fight back. Call the Medicare Fraud Hotline at 1-800-447-TIPS. A message from AARP and the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Yes, we're back, and we're going to learn more about organizing our homes and our offices with the Clutter Coach, Barbara Tischler from beautiful Warrenville, Illinois. Just briefly, because people kind of, sometimes you just join us now. The Clutter Coach, we take care of kitchens and bedrooms and attics and basements. We're going to take a tour of the house, and I'll just grab a room. How about bedrooms? Is that one of the major areas that you're called into to redo, reorganize?
Often the closets in particular, but I have organized, other areas of the bedroom, dressers and nightstands and things like that.
The of all of the clients you have, Barbara, is it evenly divided among houses and offices, or is it more homes and offices?
It's more homes and some home offices, not so much away from home offices at this point.
That's a good point, because there are so many. I mean, you have a home office. Actually, we have a home-based business ourselves, and so it's true. I mean, more and more people have the offices in their houses. The what do you like to do best? Offices, freestanding offices, or homes?
Well, I'll tell you, I have a couple answers for you. First of all, offices that are away from home offices tend to be a little smaller, especially if we're talking about sort of the cubicle, the standard cubicle. And that's very satisfying to me because usually in a fairly short amount of time, like 2 to 4 hours, we can pretty much organize the whole office and be done, and have some finality to it, versus a whole entire house where it might take months and months to get from one end to the other. But then on the other hand, I am just as happy working in someone's garage or basement as I am in their kitchen, or bathroom, or anywhere like that. The main point is who I'm working with, and if I enjoy my client and if we get along very well, then I don't care where I am organizing.
Well, I would guess that 99% of your clients are women.
I would agree with that. Yes, I do have a couple of bachelor clients, but the rest are women.
I'm glad you said that, because here's my question for you. I think I know the answer, but I could be mistaken. Are women more organized than men?
I think that it's hard to say. It's hard to make a generalization to say that one gender is more or less organized than the other. I think that perhaps one thing I might say is that men aren't as bothered by it, perhaps, as women are. But whether to say that one gender is more than the other, I can't make that judgment.
It's true. I know many, no, I wouldn't say many. I know a few of my male friends who are absolutely, who is the odd couple? I don't know, who was the guy who was a real organized, neat-nick? Felix. A lot of Felixes out there as well. You grew up in the Tempe, Arizona area. Were you always organized?
That's a very good question. I was not very organized as a child, especially with clothing. And as I moved into my teenage years, it even got worse because I was changing my outfit every morning before school, and the clothes would fall to the floor, and they'd stay there for quite some time. And my mother had to make just a little path to get from the door to get to the laundry basket. But something towards the last year of high school, something kind of clicked, and all of a sudden I said, no more clutter, I'm going to be organized. Part of it might have been sort of preparing for college and living in a small dorm room and that sort of thing. But from that point on,
you have just made so many mothers so happy out there. They say there's actually a light at the end of the tunnel. She really will have her room back, or he will have his room back. You touched on this in the very beginning in one of your answers, but if you can give me a little more defined answer, what are the negative effects of clutter? I mean, there are some real negative effects if you have a cluttered office, cluttered home.
Right. One big negative effect is wasting a lot of time looking for things and getting stressed because of that, searching for things. And then also, because of that, not having time to do more productive things, if you're wasting it on looking for things. Another one is the impression that you make on people who might see your home or your office. It can be negative. There are actually studies that have been done that have shown that people are viewed in more negative ways if they're seen in a more cluttered environment. It makes it more difficult to concentrate, especially, let's say, at a desk. If you've got things that are distracting you, it's going to be harder to concentrate on the task at hand.
Well, let me ask you that. That's an interesting observation. I have been in offices where the desk is completely clear with maybe, a piece of paper and a computer, and that's about all there was. And then I always think, well, where's their stuff? You know, it's all in their drawers or whatever. Is it a bad thing to have, let's say, pictures of your family out there? And you know, if you're in business, you're going to go to a convention or something for the National Organization of Organizers, and they're going to give you something. They're going to give you a pen, or they're going to give you, you know, you did 800 homes in 1 month, and they're going to give you something. And it's going to go where? What do you do with stuff like that?
I tell people to try to be somewhat selective about what they have out, and I definitely advocate having personalized items out, photos, awards, things like that. You want to feel comfortable in your workspace, but I do recommend that people kind of keep it to a reasonable amount, and to keep those things kind of to the periphery. If someone picks up something at a trade show or gets something as a gift and they really don't have room for it, or they really don't like it, I don't think people should feel obligated to keep things. It can become a little touchy when it is a gift, and for instance, in a home, if someone comes to visit and they want to see that gift that they gave you, that can be a little.
You quick get out of the closet,
right.
put it up.
Right.
It's like this time of the year, Barbara. We're at the holidays, and you're in charge of the office, and you get all these Christmas cards. What does one do if one is in charge of Christmas cards at the office? I remember the places where I worked, they'd put them up in the hallway, or they'd stick them up on some door, and there'd be 800 Christmas cards all taped up together. Good thing or bad thing?
It's not necessarily a bad thing. There are some ways that you can display items like Christmas cards in a nice way. In a home, for instance, people can put them with a ribbon going through them and then hang it on their fireplace mantle, something like that. So there are ways to make decorations out of it. But then, maybe after the holiday decorations get taken down, and in terms of cards, I tell people to just hold on to the ones that are most significant to them, that really are special. So things from your dentist and from your paper boy and things like
away?
that.
Do we throw them out?
I think it's perfectly fine to recycle them. Yes.
Okay. Well, you mentioned, obviously, you mentioned the negative. We come up with the benefits of really organizing your home or your office. Are there some top things that we would benefit from if we would keep our offices and our homes organized?
More increased efficiency and productivity, which is especially of interest to people in the workplace, especially their bosses. Want a more productive employee. Something I didn't mention that is particularly apparent in the home is saving money. I talked about people buying things that they already have because they don't know they have it. So you can save a lot of money if you know what you have. And then you can have more time on your hands to, whether it be get more work done or spend more time with your family, etc., instead of looking for things all the time.
It's interesting there are so many new entrepreneurial businesses that are opening up just in the last 5 years, and they're predicting more and more in the future. Who is if there is such a thing, the typical client of yours? Middle class, female, upper middle class female, couples, all in DuPage County, your work is, right?
Mainly. I do travel occasionally.
Who's the client?
I don't see a trend in one area or another. I have clients, elderly clients who are retired and just starting to feel overwhelmed with being able to pay their bills and things like that. And then I have single people. I have people who are married but are at-home moms. I have dual income families. I don't see a trend in one direction or another. I do know that with two-income families, especially when they have children, it does become a little more difficult to stay on top of incoming papers and things like that. But even people who are at-home moms, for instance, there are still a lot of challenges out there. There's also a tendency, or there's a lot of people who seek out organizing help who have attention deficit disorder, and that's something that seems to be, you hear a lot of news on that.
How do they find, now I know when you first started out, you had the magnetic sign on the car, and you had flyers, and I think that was it, flyers, and you had the sign on the car, and I think there was one other thing you did.
Right. Well, I did get a couple of interviews in local papers, and that really
Okay,
helped.
that's right.
Mhm.
Yeah. So what do you do today? Is it now word of mouth, more referral today?
Not really a lot of word of mouth, although for some organizers that has worked very well. For some reason, I don't get a lot of word of mouth. But other articles that have come out since the time where I started, that has definitely helped out. Also, I do have a lot of repeat clients, clients who retain me for many sessions.
Well, I just realized why people wouldn't recommend you. I mean, I suppose it's kind of an egotistical thing. I mean, how many people want to admit, I suppose, in a way, that they had to bring you in, and so they kind of bring you in repeatedly, but they'd rather have that relationship just with you.
Right. A lot of people do want confidentiality, and
Yeah.
I state that in my contract when I start with them. But even so, they will tell me to park across the street, or
Really? That's
or
great.
if their mother comes over, not just to say that I'm a friend.
Yeah.
So there is some embarrassment
Yeah.
about it.
All right. Well, we just have a minute or two left here. You also work with time management and calendar systems as well for folks, right?
I do try to help people figure out what the best system is going to be for them.
And there's a lot of systems out there, so you kind
Definitely.
of know what they are and say, well, here's a couple of things that might fit into your. Just real quick, I mean we have a minute here.
Okay.
Just a couple of real quick tips for us, for those of us who are just listening in, watching right now, and what are some of the first things we should do to kind of get ourselves organized?
Nice. Well, I first tell people to come up with a plan of attack, an order of areas that they want to work on, so that they're not overwhelmed with the entire house. And then to take each area, let's say it's a closet, to start with a clean slate, take everything out, and then go through everything, and then you can put back what you want to keep with a fresh slate.
Good. Very good. Thank you very much. Barbara Tischler from Warrenville, Illinois. You'll have all that information out there on the screen. Make contact with her. She'll keep it confidential. And if you'd like to look at it as a career, perhaps you also make contact with Barbara Tischler. There's an accreditation to be coming up to get into this organization, to become a organizer, professional organizer. We're talking to the Clutter Coach. That's the name of the business. Barbara Tischler from Warrenville, Illinois. We thank you ever so very much for stopping by and visiting us. And I am Dick Fredrickson, and we wish you the very best. Take care, and God bless.